The last people on this planet who need to be giving women dating advice is men.
And why is that?
I hate to break it to you guys, but when it comes to dating, women are the ones who have power and control.
Interesting. And what is that theory based off of?
I'm the one who has so many matches that I can't even go through them. Not you.
Of course. Yet I feel this is leading up to something.
I'm the one who gets asked out so many times per week that I literally just don't reply back to people. Not you.
But yet, I feel that there's something that one is definitely not taking into consideration here.
The one thing I know about men is they think their opinion really, really matters. Even when it doesn't. And boy, do men like to give opinions in areas where they're not even experts.
Ah, yes, of course. But do remember, at the end of the day, it's usually men that control marriage, because men marry who they want, while women marry who they can.
Nowadays, men don't want to pay all the bills. They can't fix shit. They can't build shit. They can't change a tire. They can't grill. They don't want to show affection. They can't swim. They can't protect you. They can't fight. What are y'all good for? What are y'all doing, bro? Like, damn, what are we doing? Like, y'all not good for nothing nowadays. Like, I swear to God, like, bro, this era of dudes is just, it's getting out of hand. We getting too sassy, fellas. Like, what do we bring to the table? It used to be like we're the providers, the protectors. Nowadays, y'all can't even fight. You feel me? Someone runs up on you and your girl, you can't even protect you guys. And I've seen so many videos of a man out with his girl, and then some people come up on him, rob him, and he runs and leaves his girl. Nowadays, we thinking every man for themselves. We not thinking, this is my partner, you feel me? I would protect her with my life. We not doing that anymore. Why? I swear, chivalry is dead. You feel me? Nowadays, even like, when's the last time you saw a girl, maybe tire popped, she's stuck on the side of the road? When's the last time you got out, helped her change the tire, you feel me, and just went on about your day? We not doing shit like that anymore.
Well, good morning to you too, Rozak. I think that's what you meant to say, but here we are, we're going to have a conversation about this comment. First of all, no, I don't need to reconsider anything. What I need is for men to stop telling me what I need. And that's what all women need, is for men to stop telling us what we need. We know what we need. We know what we want. That's number one. Number two, you are absolutely right. Women are on the losing end of dating these days. And it's not because men are done with dating. It's because women are done with men. We're done with the quality man who stops showing up for the dates. We're done with the men who are not looking to be an equal in the relationship, but they're looking for someone to take care of them. They're looking for someone to pay half the bills plus do all the housework. We're done with men taking advantage of us. Men are done with dating because they can no longer manipulate women to get what they need or want. So no. Don't tell me what I need. I don't need to reconsider diddly squat yet. But thanks for popping by.
You know what caught my attention the other day? A comment someone left under a woman's post. The person basically told her there was no reason for her to rethink her stance because, according to him, modern dating is hurting women more than anyone else. His point was simple. Men are walking away from the dating market. But the woman didn't see it that way at all. She fired back with a completely different explanation. In her mind, nothing needs to be reconsidered. Her stance was firm. Men should start listening to women about what women supposedly need. She doubled down and argued that females are the ones taking the loss in today's dating scene, yet not for the reason people keep repeating online. According to her, it has nothing to do with guys stepping away. Her claim is that women themselves are stepping away from men because the kind of men they want are no longer showing up. Lastly, she said men are done with dating because they cannot manipulate women to get what they need or want. The issue with dating is the feminism and Me Too movement messed up the scene. Women keep on listening to the single ones who keep on spreading all these false narratives. Men are manipulator, narcissistic, jealous, controlling. The list goes on. And that's where the narrative flips in a very convenient direction. She says women have grown tired of going on dates and being disappointed by the caliber of men available. In her view, the men arriving today don't measure up to what women expect. She also claimed many men aren't interested in building balanced partnerships anymore. Instead, she believes these guys want a woman to split the financial responsibilities while still expecting her to handle domestic duties. From her perspective, women feel exploited. They believe they're being asked to contribute money, effort, emotional labor, and household management while the man allegedly benefits from the arrangement. Now here's where the accountability conversation begins, because what she described doesn't appear out of thin air. The environment modern women created is the same one they're now criticizing. For years, the message pushed into society told women they should compete with men in every space, delay family life, prioritize independence, and treat relationships as optional accessories. That cultural shift changed the expectations on both sides. Many men adapted by protecting their time, guarding their finances, and avoiding situations where they carry all the risk while receiving very little appreciation. So when women complain about the dating pool, what they're often facing is the outcome of the standards and attitudes they promoted. If someone claims women are losing in dating today, the bigger question is who engineered the system producing these results. Men didn't suddenly wake up and redesign the rules alone. Women pushed for a model that removed traditional responsibilities from themselves while still demanding traditional effort from men. That imbalance creates tension, confusion, and eventually withdrawal. Guys look at the expectations being placed on them and decide their energy is better invested elsewhere. Then the same voices who encouraged this shift start pointing fingers at men as if the situation developed in a vacuum. The reality is much simpler. The modern dating climate reflects the choices, demands, and standards women insisted on, and now the consequences are showing up in real time.
I've been single for 6 years, and I can count on one hand how many times a guy has offered to buy me a drink. But it's not just that, it's guys coming up and approaching girls in general is so scarce these days. I'm like, we as women have almost made it where we're like, leave us alone, so much to the point that they really are. And they all just want to like slide in your DMs, but would never approach you in real life.
Absolutely. Well, let me fix that because that frozen shot was weird. But look, absolutely. And she understands it perfectly. She hit the nail right on the head. Look, women spent decades telling us to stop approaching y'all. Stop bothering us. You guys are like, ill. Who tell you can talk to me? That's the honest truth. I don't owe you attention. If I want something, I'll get it myself. That was the sentiment. You even said buying drinks at one point was creepy. So what did you want us to do? We listened to you. We stopped messing with you. Like even at the gym, I don't understand. And look, I see it all the time. Men getting put on Instagram or TikTok for being weird or creepy because they're walking around with tights that look like it's their skin. You can see everything. And you're not expecting us to look, right? But you got your camera on and you got it pointed in the direction of us because you already know what you're doing. It's a thirst trap. We can see your inner goods. Of course we're going to look. And so what if we look? Who cares? How is that creepy? Especially when you're wearing stuff like that. And you guys know what I'm talking about. Look, she wants to act confused that we stopped doing the very thing you guys punished us for doing. And it's not a mystery. It's predictable. These are the predictable results of modern female behavior. Men didn't stop approaching you guys because we were insecure or we didn't have any money, right? Or we were lazy or whatever. We stopped because the cost outweighed the reward. It's that simple. Like I remember back in the day when I was single and I would be driving. If I saw a beautiful chick walking on the sidewalk, I was pulling up next to her. Imagine doing that today. Imagine pulling up next to a chick today, trying to talk to her. She's going to think that you're trying to abduct her. You can't even talk to women anymore. You can't talk to women at the workplace because they're looking to call a Me Too on you. It's crazy out here today. Why would a man walk up to a woman at a bar and risk getting embarrassed, getting mocked, recorded, getting called creepy? Why would we do that? So, of course, we're just going to DM you and avoid all the bullshit. And you guys built the environment. We just adjusted to it. And the best part is this. She said she's been single for 6 years and only a handful of men bought her a drink. Let me translate what that really means. That she used to be approached. She used to get the attention. She used to get the validation. Now it's slowed down and suddenly it's a problem for society and not a reflection of her own sexual market value. Look, I'm a student of human characteristics, and I can tell that this woman here is high as a kite. Okay? Maybe men don't like women who get high. Look at her eyes. They're hella red. She should have put some Visine on there. You know, that's just me. That's my personal observation. Okay? I don't like that. I'm not attracted to that. I know many men that are not attracted to that. We just don't want you guys high. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm old fashioned. I'm old school, man. I'm an old fart.
I didn't realize the internet would be this heated about whether or not a man should approach a woman, but I think that this gets to a deeper rooted issue around self-confidence, self-esteem, and generally the ability to tolerate discomfort in life. And when I think about these themes more broadly, I think what it all comes back to is learning how to really have a sense of trust within yourself. Learning how to be okay with yourself despite whatever's going on around you. We cannot control how other people behave or respond or react to us, what they choose to do in life. The best you can do is control your own behaviors and the way that you respond to situations. And what I'm seeing to be so apparent across TikTok is how there's like such a divide between men and women. And how are people ever going to find healthy, flourishing relationships when we're constantly like butting heads against each other? And where people have these extremist negative views across both genders. It doesn't add up to me, and it frankly is very disappointing to see, because holding that sort of belief and holding on to anger and hatred and resentment is only making all of us worse off.
So now we're angry, we're hateful, and we resent you guys. Look, everything she said sounds peaceful. It sounds mature and reflective. And on paper, none of it is wrong. But that's exactly the problem. It's the kind of message that ignores how we really got here. Because you notice she didn't bring that up. All she's talking about is self-esteem, emotional regulation, controlling your own reactions, the buzzwords like healing, trust, and self-confidence. All collegiate concepts, right? But completely unrelated to why men stop approaching women. This is what you guys do when you want to sound wise without taking accountability at all. You guys retreat into therapy language, collegiate therapy language. It's typical modern feminism philosophy nonsense. Everything is about emotions, healing and trauma and energy and self-trust. Sometimes things are about behavior and consequences. That's it. But here's the problem with her entire take. She says She's talking like the divide showed up out of nowhere. Rewind the video and listen to her. Men and women didn't randomly become divided. Men didn't randomly stop approaching. We didn't randomly pull back from dating. It happened because women publicly shamed us. You guys made interacting with you creepy. You guys weaponized rejection. And that's why we stopped. It's that simple. Like I said, I wouldn't even be able to approach a woman the way I used to approach them back in the day because they would be so guarded. They would look at me like I was crazy. I'll give you a perfect example. I was charging my vehicle. I saw this car pull up. And the car looked really, really small. It was like one of them tiny little go-kart looking things, right? I forget if it was a Ford or a Chevy. Might have been a Chevy. And so I'm across, like I'm on the opposite side of this woman. And I opened my car, I got out, and I said to her, I'm like, can I ask you a few questions about your car? And she looked at me like I had 3 heads. Like I was going to kill her or something. She was afraid. She was like, I guess. I was like, what's going on here? Look, you can't make this up. You can't even ask anybody questions. I think you guys watch too many Netflix crime stories, man, and the shit got you guys shook. That's the real root of the problem. It's not self-esteem. It's not tolerating discomfort or inner trust. It's not. I think it sits on top of a foundation of denial for what she said. And I'm going to leave that there. I'm always going to link the content creators back to the description. You can find them there. You can check out their page and their profile. You can show them some love, right? If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be doing this. Okay. So it's the right thing to do by showing them some credit. But with that, what say you? You guys understand what I'm trying to tell you here, the message that I'm trying to convey. It didn't just start on its own. Okay. This is what you wanted. So now we're just being reciprocal. Leave it in the comments. I'll see you on the next one.
What happens after men decide they're no longer interested in chasing? For generations, the expectation was simple. Men pursue, women respond. That dynamic shaped the entire dating culture. Now the energy has shifted. A lot of men step back from that role. They focus on their goals, their peace, their purpose. Suddenly the silence feels different. The attention that many women once counted on isn't guaranteed anymore. And now some of them appear confused, even uneasy, trying to figure out why the atmosphere changed so drastically. The same dating environment women insisted on building has started producing consequences they never anticipated. Think about the rules that dominated modern relationships. Women demanded independence, removed traditional roles they didn't like, and replaced them with standards that placed heavier expectations on men. They wanted the freedom to choose, reject, and critique while still expecting men to compete for their approval. Over time, a lot of men looked at the situation and realized the effort required didn't match the reward waiting on the other side. So they adjusted their behavior. Instead of chasing validation or fighting for attention, many simply walked away from the competition entirely. Now, the very framework women celebrated is quietly pushing the kind of men they claim to want out of the dating scene. Then another woman asked a question that actually grabbed attention. Why do men and women seem so divided today? It sounds thoughtful on the surface, yet the answer isn't complicated. Division grows when one side constantly shifts the expectations while refusing to acknowledge the damage those changes cause. For years, women criticized masculinity, mocked traditional men, and labeled male boundaries as insecurity or weakness. Those messages didn't disappear into thin air. Men heard them clearly. Over time, many decided there was no benefit in engaging with people who constantly portray them as the problem. That growing distance didn't start from nowhere. The tension people see now didn't magically appear. Women pushed for a culture where men had fewer reasons to invest in relationships while demanding more from them at the same time. Good men recognized the imbalance and chose self-respect over constant negotiation. That decision changed the entire landscape. The quiet withdrawal many men embraced wasn't random behavior. It was a response to the attitudes and standards women normalized. And now that the attention has slowed down, the same voices that shaped the environment are beginning to question why the connection between men and women feels weaker than ever.
Men are done.
A lot of
Women
women's
is
absolute
scared.
worst nightmare is the day when men wake up and realize their worth. Quiet quitting was a term that was trending a while ago, where underpaid and undervalued employees started cutting corners and putting in the absolute bare minimum effort into their jobs, working just enough to retain their position. And I couldn't help but notice a parallel to that in the dating society today. Men are at a point where they've become disillusioned with a lot of women because the veil has been lifted. Men are now checking out of relationships that no longer serve as assets to their life, but rather liabilities. Men are seeing the lack of gratitude and minimal to no reciprocity they encounter on a consistent basis from the other side. Unfortunately, we've built a society where men hear terms like toxic masculinity and patriarchal oppression constantly thrown around in public discourse, while they sacrifice at dead-end jobs trying to put food on the table and provide for their families. Men are tired of being gaslit and shamed for their masculinity and nature, and it's making them revolt against the same system that's holding them to unrealistic expectations. They see the complementary balance of the gender shifting way too far, and they're tired of being the main ones holding up their end of the bargain. A lot of women have fallen into the trap of measuring men by impossible standards because their expectations have ballooned from the constant revolving door of Hollywood and free social media validation. Men are struggling to keep up, and they're sick and tired of having to prove themselves over and over and over again just to ensure the love and the loyalty of their woman. A lot of it can be traced back to the proliferation of dating apps, which have hollowed out human relations and virtualized the dating marketplace. This, combined with a welfare state that can act as a safety net for repeated bad decisions and a lack of accountability, has incentivized promiscuity while simultaneously breaking down and demonizing traditional gender roles at the expense of long-term synergistic and wholesome relationships between men and women. Masculine men are the guarding walls of our society, and they've done an outstanding job holding it together, even though they've been continuously shamed and ridiculed for the very qualities that make them men. In turn, they ask for recognition for their efforts, yet society has failed to do justice to their sacrifice and perseverance in the face of all their adversities. The relationship dynamic between men and women are supposed to be comprised of a beautiful complementary synergy, not a tug of war where both sides stretch to compete and they stretch themselves thin. This is the unfortunate state of dating and relationships today that many men find themselves in. Women, in their quest for a vain sense of gender equalism, have forgotten what truly makes them attractive to men of caliber. A man wants his woman to be a place of solace and refuge, not another battle he has to fight. But this is the current societal predicament, and as more and more men walk away from relationships, dating, and marriage, they unfortunately are taking with them the most important masculine qualities that women and society inevitably cherish and need. So until the next video, I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Men are done, and women are scared. And a lot of women's nightmare is the day when men wake up and realize their worth. Men are a point where they become disillusioned with a lot of women because the veil has been lifted. Men are now checking out of relationships that no longer serve as assets to their life, but rather liabilities. Many men have reached a point where they're quietly questioning what exactly they're receiving in return for the effort they put into life and relationships. Day after day, they grind through exhausting work, carrying responsibility for bills, stability, and security for the people depending on them. Yet the appreciation that once accompanied that role has faded. In its place, men constantly hear accusations thrown around in public conversation, labels describing masculinity as dangerous, oppressive, or harmful. Imagine the contradiction: a man working long hours, doing everything possible to support his household, yet hearing society portray his very nature as the problem. Over time, that kind of messaging drains motivation. It sends a signal that his sacrifices don't matter, and that his role is viewed with suspicion rather than respect. That frustration didn't appear out of thin air. It grew from years of women pushing narratives that paint male responsibility as something negative while still expecting men to continue carrying the heaviest burdens. Men got tired of being used for free meals/rides, being told that any of their wants/needs are secondary to women's. What did women do in response? Call them sassy as an attack on their masculinity. Men are struggling to keep up, and they're sick and tired of having to prove themselves over and over again just to ensure the love and loyalty of their woman. A lot of it can trace back to the proliferation of dating apps, which have hollowed out human relations and virtualized the dating marketplace. This, combined with a welfare state that can act as a safety for repeated bad decisions and lack of accountability, has incentivized promiscuity while simultaneously breaking down and demonizing traditional gender roles at the expense of long-term synergistic and wholesome relationships between men and women. That unsaturation becomes even clearer when you look at modern relationship expectations. A growing number of women evaluate men through standards that barely exist in real life. Social media, celebrity culture, and constant online attention have inflated their idea of what a partner should look like, earn, or provide. A regular man working honestly to support a household suddenly gets compared to unrealistic images of wealth, status, and perfection. Instead of cooperation between two people building a life together, many women approach relationships like a selection process where the man must prove his worth again and again. Men recognize that dynamic, and many have reached a breaking point. They see a system where they are expected to provide, protect, and perform while receiving criticism, dismissal, or unrealistic demands in return. That realization is pushing more men to reject the arrangement entirely, because they refuse to keep holding up a structure women themselves have turned into a one-sided deal.
Men are giving up on dating. And one of the reasons why is because of women's expectations. One of the main reasons why women have such unrealistic expectations is because of social media, and let me tell you why. So women are often fueled by what they see on social media. It seems like everywhere you look online, there are images of perfect couples, luxury, exotic vacation, lavish gifts, and this is very, very toxic because this is not even real. It's just social media. And these things create an unrealistic standard for women because they expect that from a partner. And men feel like they need to be wealthy or constantly shower women with gifts to be able to measure up. And it's a lot of pressure. It can leave men thinking that they'll never be able to meet these expectations. And as a result, men are just giving up on dating because they feel like they can compete against those fantasy relationships that we see online. And I think it's very, very dangerous because it can lead to self-esteem issues as men feel like they're never gonna be good enough. And this can result in anxiety, depression. So yeah, it's a very, very concerning problem.
She made a statement that caught a lot of attention. She claimed many men are stepping away from dating because the expectations coming from women have become impossible to satisfy. And she pointed directly at social media as one of the biggest influences behind it. Think about what women scroll through every single day. Their screens are filled with images of couples flying across the world, luxury hotel rooms, expensive handbags, surprise gifts, and men appearing to finance a lifestyle that looks flawless. The problem is that these pictures and videos rarely reflect normal life. They are staged moments, sponsored content, or carefully edited highlights designed to attract attention. Yet many women absorb those images as if they represent the standard every relationship should follow. That constant exposure slowly reshapes what women expect from men. Instead of valuing character, reliability, or partnership, the focus shifts toward status and material display. A regular man who works hard, pays his bills, and tries to build a stable future suddenly looks inadequate compared to the flashy scenes circulating online. Women begin to measure potential partners against an illusion created by influencers and celebrities. From a man's perspective, the message becomes clear. If he isn't wealthy, extravagant, or able to fund a glamorous lifestyle, he risks being overlooked. That kind of pressure turns dating into a competition most men never signed up for in the first place. Men aren't giving up on love. They're stepping away from chasing what feels hollow. When depth is traded for convenience, solitude is what matters. Men aren't giving up just on dating, but also the will to create new life, family, relationship, friends, hobbies, lifestyles, studies, job search. Basically, life itself is worth nothing if not to be continued. Another point is men have given up on dating because we're fed up of being treated like rubbish, cheated on, used for money. So true. Even if a girl makes moves, the expectations and effort is too much. Prefer to wait for the natural relationships. Social media, reality TV, dating apps, and pop culture are also a dead end on dating in today's world. After facing that environment repeatedly, many men reach a point where they simply step back. They recognize that they're being compared to fantasy relationships that exist only on screens. Instead of constantly trying to prove themselves against a digital fairy tale, they choose peace and focus on their own path. The responsibility for this shift sits squarely with women who allowed social media to redefine what they expect from men. By chasing unrealistic standards and glorifying material displays, they push genuine, hardworking men out of the dating world. And the longer that mindset continues, the more men will decide that walking away is the smarter choice.
I get why men don't like me. Like, you don't text me back? Okay. You don't call me back? Okay. I just don't care. Unbothered and detached person. Like, I don't call it self-awareness, call it...
It's not necessarily self-awareness. It's because you cannot feel the presence of the men that you are dating or in a relationship with because they are not adding any value to your life. Like I said, women who are self-sufficient or really hyper independent need blue-collared men. Men whose love language is acts of service. Because if not, what ends up happening is men will come into your life, whether you're dating or in a relationship with them, and they don't add any value. They can't add any value because they can't keep up to the lifestyle that you already give yourself. So their presence in your life is never felt. And so therefore they become disposable and they easily become replaceable. You now see men as very replaceable because you know that they can do nothing for you. So you stop caring because you know that they can't come in and do anything for you that you just can't do for yourself, right? So you need a man who's going to shake the room. I've talked about this analogy before. You need a man that you need to be able to call and things are handled and resources are available. Otherwise, they become very disposable because you're always going to feel like you either can't keep up to how I'm doing or you can't add anything for me. A man's presence in your life has to really be felt. Otherwise, it's a waste of your time. Women need men who are going to provide something really exciting. I think this is what's going on with the dating scene today. A lot of women need someone that's going to come in and provide something very exciting out of the norm of how they're already living or what they're already doing for themselves. Men have grown to a point where a lot of men can't actually reach, and so they provide a very underwhelming experience. And so therefore nothing excites you. When a man comes into your space, you just know that he's not coming to do much. So you're just like not bothered. The dating scene is quite interesting and very sad because as women continue to grow and pivot, the likelihood of them finding a like-minded man becomes slimmer and slimmer. So the margins are getting wider and wider. And so it's like women are just going to outgrow men. And then there's just the margin just becomes so wide.
There's a claim circulating more often lately that women have somehow surpassed men, and because of that, dating no longer excites them the way it once did. According to that argument, relationships feel dull or disappointing because women believe they've advanced further in life than the men around them. That statement sounds bold on the surface, yet it raises a serious question. If women truly believe they've moved beyond men, why does so much frustration about dating still dominate their conversations? The reality is that this narrative didn't grow from genuine progress. It grew from an inflated sense of superiority that many women adopted after years of hearing they are stronger, smarter, and more accomplished than the average man. A large part of this attitude developed because women started measuring men through a distorted lens. Education, income, social status, and lifestyle became the yardstick used to evaluate male worth. The problem is that many women place themselves at the top of that scale in their own minds while dismissing the effort men continue to put into building stability and structure in society. A man working hard, paying bills, supporting his responsibilities, and trying to form a family no longer impresses many women because their expectations have been pushed far beyond normal reality. They chase a level of excitement and status that very few people can maintain consistently. That mindset has turned dating into something hollow for them, and the blame lands squarely on women who embrace the idea that they have somehow outgrown men. By convincing themselves that ordinary men are beneath them, they stripped relationships of appreciation and partnership. What they describe as an underwhelming experience is actually the result of rejecting the very men capable of building meaningful connections. When women approach dating with arrogance and unrealistic standards, disappointment becomes inevitable. And the more they cling to the belief that they stand above men, the more they guarantee that genuine relationships will remain out of reach.